Less than 24 hours from a record-setting performance, Jimmer Fredette walks into Las Vegas one more time, hoping his BYU team can win the Mountain West Championship. All the passion and emotion of championship week has capped the best season in Mountain West Conference history. One of the nation's best players, two of his best teams, and the last two standing are the two best. BYU and San Diego State, their third meeting for the Mountain West Championship. The Thomas and Mack Center in Las Vegas full for the Conoco Mountain West Basketball Championship Final, but you'd swear you were in Provo South. It's about 90% BYU fans for this incredible, passionate rivalry. And only fitting that in the best season of the Mountain West history, the two best teams both survived fierce semifinal games to meet today for the third time for the Mountain West Conference Championship. And we are so pleased to have it for you here on Versus with Blaine Fowler, Ted Robinson. Lindsay Soto will be joining us in just a few moments. If you had any doubt about Jimmer Fredette, he should have silenced that doubt last night.
He was unbelievable. 52 points for Jimmer Fredette. He had everyone in the building just shaking their heads. And I don't know how you get 52 points when you only go to the free throw line one time. He was knocking down threes off a dribble. He was going to the basket. He was shooting deep, deep threes. This guy's range is unlimited, and he's a very confident scorer right now.
And largely because of Jimmer Fredette, BYU is the only team to have beaten San Diego State this year. They did it twice. The Aztecs are proud, and they have a couple of key guys that want to change that.
Yeah, Kawahi Leonard was terrific in last night's semifinal. He is a beast inside. A double-double machine waiting to happen. And 18 points and 8 rebounds. That's how he's been all year long. And DJ Gay is the heart and soul of this team, an extension of the coaching staff out on the field. He made the game winner last night, 15 points. He was simply outstanding.
Steve Fisher says DJ Gay is not my best player, he's my most important player. He entrusted him to make the game winner last night and set up this blockbuster matchup coming up on Versus.
Tuesday, it's Mountain West Baseball when TCU plays host to Texas State. Catch Mountain Sports Report at 5 and the Bobcats and Horned Frogs at 5:30, only on the Mountain.
It's the signal, calling those who seek truth, justice, and a world-class Napa leather-trimmed command center. The newly refined 2011 Dodge lineup. 6 new vehicles that'll have you thinking, holy craftsmanship, Dodge man. Happy premiering.
During the Dodge Premier event, lease the new 2011 Durango all-wheel drive Express for $359 a month for well-qualified lessees.
This is a moment in San Diego State history. From 1980 through 1983, one woman dominated the hardwood on Montezuma Mesa. Judy Porter was a 6' 3" center who quickly became the staple of Aztec women's basketball. As a junior in 1982, she averaged 19.7 points per game and was named a Wade Trophy finalist, an honor which went to the top women's collegiate basketball player. As a senior, Porter averaged 22.6 points per game and eventually became San Diego State's all-time leading scorer. But Porter didn't stop there. She also holds the Aztec record as the top rebounder with 1,498 in her career. A 4-time all-conference performer, Porter is the only female to have her jersey retired. In 1990, her career was honored in style when she was inducted into the Aztec Hall of Fame. This has been a moment in San Diego State history.
My assignment in biology is on the reproductive system. So I was kind of worried some pretty gnarly stuff would come up in my searches, but it didn't.
Find out more about parental controls at pointsmartclicksafe.org.
You're watching The Mountain West Sports Network.
The 2011 Conoco Mountain West Conference Basketball Championships on Versus is brought to you by Conoco, who reminds you to always use Conoco gasoline because your car knows. And by Snickers. If you like peanut butter and chocolate, you'll love peanut butter and Snickers. New Snickers Peanut Butter Square.
Now, there are pockets of San Diego State fans within this building, and they're trying their best. But the Aztecs have got to feel like this is almost a road game. It's an incredible turnout of BYU supporters. Here is the San Diego State starting lineup. 3 seniors, Malcolm Thomas, Billy White, and the point guard DJ Gay, an incredibly athletic front court. And the BYU starters, and they have been Ironmen. Dave Rose's bench is very thin, but those senior guards, Jimmer Fredette and his wingman, Jackson Emery, are the keys. And BYU, of course, their bench is even thinner because of the loss of a significant player. With more on that, let's join Lindsay Soto.
Well, Ted, Brennan Davies obviously unable to play in this game, but he is able to sit on the bench, and that is exactly what he is doing today, on the bench, in street clothes, a guest of the team, so to speak. He is still unable to practice and play with the team, but he did travel with them. He's staying with the team at the team hotel. He's being paid for by the team while he is here in Las Vegas. He was even out there helping his teammates during warm-up. I asked BYU Athletic Director Tom Homo how all of that was possible under the terms of his suspension. He told me the technical terms of the suspension are that he is unable to represent the university, and they feel like since he's not playing and he's not wearing a uniform, they don't feel like he is violating those terms by being here. Ted?
Now, Lindsay, I had a feeling last night that part of what Jimmer Fredette was doing was proving that all of the doom and gloom predicted for BYU when the Davies scenario unfolded was, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it.
Yeah, and you know, Brandon Davies has been a big part of their defense on the interior and rebounding, but really this team is about guard play. This is about Jackson Emery and Jimmer Fredette, and they were terrific. Emery on the defensive end and Fredette scoring last night.
The one point I think we need to make, though, both regular season games, BYU beat San Diego State by 13. In the first game at Provo, though, BYU really did utilize Davies down low in the first half, repeatedly.
And the one question you have is how will this BYU team defend on the interior without fouling? Because they don't have a lot of depth there.
Jimmer Fredette last night took 37 shots. Didn't feel like he was hogging the ball.
No, he found a way to get a couple assists. In fact, he should have had more assists. But no, and that's been the marquee of this team, or the MO of this team. They consider Jimmer Fredette an unselfish scorer. I don't know how you can score like he does, but his teammates take no offense to it, and they feel like he shares the ball when they're open.
A very good officiating crew fitting this matchup of two powerful teams. Scott Thornley, Randy McCall, and Larry Spalding have the floor here for this Mountain West Conference championship game. Malcolm Thomas, San Diego State in the black, wins the jump. Billy White, blocked by Hartzog, held ball right off the bat. And Blake Feller, you know this as well, a big part of this matchup has been tempo. San Diego State very leery. Steve Fisher talks openly. He feels there's been games in the past where BYU has, quote, run us off the floor.
And you think about how athletic San Diego State is. They like to play up tempo, but against this team, they want to make sure that they don't give up points in transition, especially threes in transition to BYU.
And the question for BYU, playing almost Ironman ball right now, do they have the legs on this quick turn game? It's a quick turn for both teams, but BYU has pretty much played 6 men in the first 2 rounds of this tournament.
And you and I both noticed last night that Steve Fisher went deep into his bench, maybe deeper than we've seen him go this season. And so he got more play from his subs. We'll see if that plays out in this one in the second half.
Jackson Emery, that's the matchup we've seen. Jackson Emery defends San Diego State's point, DJ Gay. They double at the post, and a great pass by Malcolm Thomas. Kawahi Leonard with a finish. Well, San Diego State ready there. They know BYU almost always doubles the postman.
And Kawahi Leonard so strong and so athletic at 6'7" and 225. He plays like a 6'10" player.
And a back slap with the ball to Hartzog of BYU. But interesting, it's Billy White on Jimmer Fredette. Step back missing. In the game in Provo, Dave Rose admitted, the BYU coach, the best defense against Jimmer Fredette was probably Billy White at 6'8", 6'9". Long guy, and Chase Tapley drains a three.
And Tapley can be an X factor for San Diego State. When he's knocking down outside shots, they are a much better basketball team. And back to what you were talking about, Billy White's length. He's got this rare combination of the ability to move laterally. He's got great quickness and that length, and he probably is the best matchup for Fredette.
Emery hits, and that's big for BYU to have another outside shooter to help Fredette. Emery has struggled last night, made just 1 of 7 threes. BYU in a zone. They go almost exclusively zone. Leonard off the dribble, and it's all BYU. Charles Abuo rebounds. San Diego State admitted in the regular season that they would not crash the boards as much as they'd like. Abuo hits a three. That's the respect for BYU. San Diego State, which is a monster rebounding team, they admitted they were going to keep one extra guy back to prevent BYU from transitions.
Well, and when BYU's getting outside production from Charles Abuo like they just did in Jackson Emery, now what do you do? Because everybody's trying to pay attention to Jimmer Fredette. When these other guys contribute, it is tough to stop them.
Leonard got shut down inside. Tapley. Chase Tapley's second three.
Well, very calmly comes off the contact and knocks it down. How big is that for San Diego State to have Tapley scoring early?
They are not. San Diego State's not a team that lives with threes. Their best three shooters comes off the bench, James Rahan, but Tapley is capable. This is where San Diego State tries to make their living, right here in the defensive end. And it's Billy White creating the steal. And then gets the beautiful lob return from Malcolm Thomas. And BYU stops it. And Blaine, that is exactly if San Diego State could blueprint that possession was what they want. That's how they want to win this game, is defense.
Well, and Billy White playing good on the ball defense on Jimmer Fredette, and then he gets a little bit of help from Malcolm Thomas. Everybody's got to be aware of where he is. Now, you're going to watch Malcolm Thomas. He's going to come over, and he's going to help a little bit. And the ball's tipped away by Billy White, and all 5 guys on this Aztec team capable of handling the ball in transition.
But this is the other element we talked about, Blake. The San Diego State front line is amazingly athletic. They all run the floor beautifully.
Even when they bring Brian Carwell off the bench at 6'11" and 300 pounds, I saw him handling the ball last night in transition. Now, that's not the guy they want, but certainly Billy White, Kawahi Leonard, Malcolm Thomas all have the ability to take the ball on the dribble and get out in transition. That's a huge benefit for this Aztec team.
Steve Fisher's getting some recognition this year. It's hard to really put into words, though, what he inherited 12 years ago and what he has done to build a program. Remember, San Diego State, in the history of their school, was never ranked in basketball until this year. They still have never won an NCAA tournament game. That's the goal Steve Fisher set for this year.
Well, and I like how you said program. He has developed a program. This is not just a good team. He has a great basketball program now.
Ball tipped out of bounds, and by the way, we're 3.5 minutes into the game. Jimmer Fredette has not scored. By this time last night, he had 10 points. And Dave Rose, who's done just as great a job, 6 years, phenomenal job at BYU. Today, they play their last Mountain West Conference game. Emery. And the tip rebound, loose ball. Fredette comes out. Collinsworth can't finish. Not many teams beat San Diego State in loose ball fights. And then Leonard finishes. Well, San Diego State's come out with some energy.
Yeah, and they're making this happen, Ted, on the defensive end. It's been great defensive effort, lots of energy. They are certainly fired up for this one.
Nice pass inside, and there's Fredette's first points. Assist from Hartsock.
Nobody realizes how hard Jimmer Fredette works off the ball. He runs off the screens. This guy runs like 5 miles every game to get open.
Blaine, you know who knows it right now? Billy White.
Yeah, oh, you better believe it.
And we saw the game in Provo where Billy White could not stay on Fredette long. It's exhausting. And we see most opponents do this. They run different guys to try to keep fresher legs on Fredette. miss on the baseline, and Hartsock, good defensive rebound. There's White again. It's been a long run, almost 5 minutes for Billy White. Fredette beat him off the dribble, and that's what Fredette excels at. Not so much last night, but generally forces fouls.
Well, he gets to the free throw line here. He's going to have a chance to shoot two. BYU behind to San Diego State, 12-8. Great defense by the Aztecs.
Is your computer running slowly? Does it take more than 3 seconds for your email to load? Are you frustrated with error messages, blue screens, computer freezes, and crashes? These are not only annoying, but can cause permanent damage to your computer. If you're experiencing any of these symptoms, your computer and your privacy may be at risk, because these are usually the telltale signs of a virus, and it can only get worse until you act. Get a free diagnosis at mycleanpc.com.
My Clean PC is outstanding, and my computer is running faster than ever.
My Clean PC came through with flying colors when no one else could.
My Clean PC totally cleaned up my system and increased my speed.
MyCleanPC.com can remove spyware, viruses, and infected emails, all speeding up your PC's performance. It offers all-in-one protection, and it's been downloaded by millions of users. Even if you have antivirus software, your computer could still be infected. Find out instantly with a free comprehensive diagnosis at mycleanpc.com.
When we talk about being an Aztec, we're not talking about how you were back in the day, or who you thought you might become, or a face you put on for game day. Once you're an Aztec, you're an Aztec every day of your life. San Diego State University, Aztec for life.
Jimmer Fredette's parents making the trip from Glens Falls, New York. They've been frequent travelers to Utah to watch Jimmer play. That's TJ Fredette, Jimmer's older brother and an aspiring rapper. His real name, his born name, is James Tate Fredette. In his infancy, Mrs. Fredette gave him the nickname Jimmer because there were a lot of James in the family. They wanted something distinctive. And Jimmer has been called that since his early days and loves the name.
And he's been so good, especially his senior season, that he's one of the few players in the country everybody just knows by that unique first name. You say Jimmer and anybody in basketball knows exactly who you're talking about.
He's from upstate New York, central part of upstate New York, Glens Falls, New York. His father converted to the Mormon faith as an adult, and Jimmer was given an option as a young man which faith he would choose to follow. And he chose the Mormon faith, and then a very under-recruited player. The recruitment of Jimmer Fredette came down to BYU and Siena. Dave Rose, the BYU coach, laughs about it now. He says, I spent a lot of time in gyms for a year watching games with Fran McCaffrey, who was the Siena coach, because really we were the two schools that were going for it.
You told me the other day that Jim Boeheim said, yeah, I missed that one. They're pretty close to Syracuse where he grew up. And
Hartsock hits the open shot. Noah Hartsock. Fredette, because of his choosing the Mormon faith, he went to a basketball camps his early high school years at BYU. And Dave Rose said the first time I saw him was at one of our camps between his freshman and sophomore years of high school. So we were on him because of that a little bit earlier than most people.
BYU stays in that 2-3 zone now, Ted. And San Diego State, I like this. I like the fact that they get it inside. It's going to be a jump ball.
Hell ball. Yep, hell ball will stay with San Diego State.
Stays with San Diego State, but San Diego State can't be content to shoot jump shots against this zone. They need to take it inside and try to take advantage of that great athleticism. And then when they get threes, it's better when it comes from inside out with this team.
James Rahan, he is the good shooter, but feeds to Malcolm Thomas.
That is the formula. Right
only going inside also. I mean, look, the one thing BYU can't afford is foul trouble. They just don't have that depth.
And you got to attack, and BYU without Davies, just not that deep on the front line. They don't have a lot of size to contend with what San Diego State has.
Last night against New Mexico, BYU picked up some early first half fouls and then did a good job of staying out of big foul trouble. That's going to be, let's see, a foul on San Diego State. Second team foul against the Aztecs.
Let's watch this on the other end. They do a beautiful job this time of setting this up and getting Malcolm Thomas in a great position down on that low block. BYU not adjusting well, and that's exactly where San Diego State needs to go.
The game these teams played at San Diego State just a couple of weeks ago, the story was the brilliant shooting of the other Cougars. It wasn't Jimmer. But they had everybody else on that team was making their shots.
Beautiful job that time by Kawahi Leonard of covering Fredette, getting his length out there, that great arm out there and those big hands without fouling.
Malcolm Thomas will get to the line for San Diego State. Foul on Jackson Emery. It's the first BYU foul of the game. Emery, the all-time steals leader. And BYU really altered last night's game with New Mexico in the second half with steals. He had 5 of them total. Senior Thomas makes the first. Tonight on Versus, we'll go from our great college basketball game to the future pros, the NBA D-League from Texas. Austin and Texas collide 11:30 East. The NBA D-League tonight on Versus. Malcolm Thomas, a senior from San Diego, started his college career at Pepperdine. This incredibly close-knit San Diego State team put together by Steve Fisher and his excellent staff. But it's the last run for Malcolm Thomas, for Billy White, for DJ Gay. The seniors, Fredette and Emery, the same thing for BYU. Logan Magnuson in the game. He is the 6th man, and he's really the only bench that Dave Rose has used in most of the first 2 games here.
And we wonder how they can hold up. Of course, you and I just got done doing the women's game where Utah had to play 4 games in a row, and they didn't have much of a bench either. And boy, they gutted it out and came up with a tremendous victory.
Well, a rare moment here. Tim Shelton in the game. That's a great basketball name. Tim Shelton's dad was a fabulous Lonnie Shelton, Oregon State and pro fame. But a rare time here because DJ Gay's sitting. And this rarely happens. Abuo. Ball jarred free, but there's Shelton winning it. To Leonard. Look at Leonard scoop, and Rayhan comes out with it.
Well, you are seeing tremendous athleticism on both sides.
Tapley rimmed out. It would have been his 3rd 3. And Emery back. San Diego State just rarely takes their quarterback out of the game. DJ Gay getting a breath here. Last year in the championship game here, San Diego State beat UNLV, and Gay played all 40 minutes. Fredette, look at Fredette. Yeah. You still doubt him against Kawahi Leonard? Don't think Fredette can do it?
Kawahi Leonard, one of the most athletic guys in the country, and Jimmer Fredette just wheeling and dealing, spinning and dribbling. He's going to get it all the way to the glass for the bucket and one.
It's America First Credit Union's $1 billion loan sale. Yes, that's billion with a B. In home loans, auto loans, RV loans, and personal loans, all at incredible rates. Call, visit a branch, or go to americafirst.com. Members come first.
Here's a moment in San Diego State history. 1991. Freshman running back Marshall Falk had a breakout game that was quite the sign of things to come. Against the University of the Pacific, he simply dominated with 37 carries, 386 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Statistically speaking, his freshman season would be his best, with 23 touchdowns and almost 1,500 yards. This has been a moment in San Diego State history.
Mountain Sports Report, your nightly look at the Mountain West sports scene. 5 nights a week, join the Mountains team for coverage of your teams.
He's a guy that's really stepped up from a leadership standpoint.
I just try to lead by example.
From the latest news,
it was a battle between 2 of the top teams in the Mountain West Conference,
to stories that reach beyond the game.
You know, they're getting real involved and they're having fun.
Mountain Sports Report, presented by Dodge, Tuesday through Friday at 5:30 and Saturday at 10 on the Mountain.
March 18, 1981. Ground Zero, the Omni in Atlanta, Georgia. Site of the 1981 Sweet 16 Southern Regional. The matchup, the BYU men's basketball team In a titanic tilt against the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame, the Irish lead 50-49 with just 8 seconds left on the clock. Off the inbounds pass, the never-say-die Danny Ainge dribbles untouched coast to coast and somehow manages to put the ball up and over the outstretched fingertips of center Orlando Woolridge. Before a still stunned crowd and Notre Dame team looking on in disbelief, time expires and the Cougars win a 51-50 thriller to advance into the Elite Eight. This has been a moment in BYU history.
6 points now for Jimmer Fredette, already in action, and let's watch him head-to-head here against an athletic, bigger player in Kawahi Leonard.
Now, the best way to describe Fredette is he's relentless. He'll just keep coming at you, and look at the work that he requires out of Kawahi Leonard. And finally, Kawahi Leonard reaching and getting him with the body low as Fredette finishes.
That's our Pizza Hut favorite matchup, and it highlights to me what Fredette's one of his great strengths is that not only can he get the ball to the basket, he is an amazing finisher.
And I think people that haven't had a chance to watch him, they see the highlights and they see all these long three-point bombs, and they don't have an understanding that this guy is just flat out a scorer, and he can take it in there amongst the trees and get it done.
Well, Fredette shot only one free throw last night. His 52-point outburst. He's already had 2 to the line, and here for a chance at the old school three-point play. Now we're curious to see what Steve Fisher's plan of attack is against defending Fredette. Jamal Franklin's in for the first time for San Diego State. So is Brian Carwell. Still no DJ Gay. Jamal Franklin, a freshman who's played much better as the years go along for the Aztecs. And there's Rayhan, who's proven that he's not just a shooter. There's BYU. That's what San Diego State feared. Even after a make, they'll come back and run the floor on.
Yeah, you have got to get back and defend transition. And you cannot take a break, get high on defense, and relax after you make a bucket. You mentioned Rayhan and Franklin. What Rayhan brings San Diego State a great offensive punch off the bench. He's a threat from long distance, but as you mentioned, throughout the season, he's developed his ability to drive the ball. And Franklin has seemed to become more and more comfortable with his long shot. So Steve Fisher very confident and going deeper in his bench now than he did at the beginning of the year.
Starting 5 back on the floor for BYU. Foul was Rayhan's second for San Diego State. Fredette, driving, and Collinsworth missed a putback. Kawahi Leonard and Malcolm Thomas both on the bench right now for San Diego State, as well as DJ Gay. This is that moment we talked about. Steve Fisher willing to play his bench. Carwell put back.
Power move by the big guy, Brian Carwell. 6'11", 300 pounds in the post.
I would say playing San Diego State playing its bench a little more now than we saw them at all during the regular season.
You're right, and earlier.
Fredette. Collinsworth cut off baseline, stripped by Billy White. Outlet to Franklin. Abuo got back though for BYU, but White gets down the way. What athletic ability. And San Diego State is up 9. They never got this. They haven't been there against BYU all year. Fredette leaning in. Tried to force contact. White back. Dishing off. Tip in. White. 8-0 run. San Diego State. We have a timeout. I believe we had a timeout.
Yeah, Dave Rose takes a timeout. And this is how San Diego State has been when they're at their best. They just feast on defense. They're like circling sharks in the water. And when they get it going, they feed off of one another. A turnover here with the quick hands of Billy White. Then he gets it down the floor and continues to run the floor. I love the hustle. He made the defensive play and the acrobatic finish. And then this is Fredette working against Franklin. Franklin doing a nice job of giving up ground. And again, it's Billy White who comes out with it. The dish and the bucket on the tap-in.
And Blaine, I'm thinking back to the first game these teams played in Provo this year, which I had a chance to work with. And I know Steve Fisher afterwards felt that might have been a game where he might not have used his bench enough. He really played just 6 men for most of that game. And San Diego State with about 5 minutes to go, obviously at altitude as well. They hit a wall. This was a close game until the final 5 minutes. Dave Rose really upset. Let Scott Thornley hear some things. Jim Boylan, the Utah coach who was let go earlier today, made a comment this year after Jimmer torched them for 47. He said Jimmer's the toughest guy to officiate in college basketball because he constantly forces the ball at the defense, putting the officials in that tough judgment call scenario. I think that's what just happened here at the previous trip.
I think you're right. And I think he's got to the free throw line less as the season has progressed.
Fredette gets the back tap. He's going to get a third shot. I'm not going to ever expect to see Jimmer miss back-to-back threes like that.
Yeah, you cannot give him another chance. And San Diego State, they've got to box out. That first rebound was such a long one. Even though they had position inside, it came all the way back out to BYU.
It is really notable right now, not just the fact that DJ Gay is out of the game, but how long he's been out. He is at the table ready to come back. Nice feed. Oh, Carwell missed a dunk. Can White save it? Yes, they'll still have a shot at the foul line. But Rayhan with another marvelous dribble play.
You know, Rayhan has turned into a more complete player. Beginning of the year, spot-up jump shooter. Now at the end of the year, he understands that he can also use that fear that defenses had that he's going to shoot that jump shot to get into the paint, collapse defenses, and dish the ball to his teammates. Beautiful job there by Rayhan.
Billy White at the line, 72% foul shooter. This is special for Billy White. Of course, last year he was part of the championship team that won on this floor as Gay comes back in along with Leonard. Billy White from Las Vegas, and a player who admitted that he needed to leave here. He needed to get away and start a different life, and that's why he chose San Diego State as his school.
Well, he's such a quiet, soft-spoken young man off the court. When you get a chance to visit with him, a very articulate, very nice young man. And on the court, he's a terror. He plays with great intensity, especially on the defensive end, and he's also a tremendous offensive rebounder.
It's the last go-around for White, for Malcolm Thomas, for DJ Gay, for Brian Carwell. 4 seniors that play significant minutes on the San Diego State team. Fredette the same for BYU. Fredette and Emery, those great guards winding down their career. Hartsock on the pick and pop, missing. That's the shot that Hartsock knocked down so often in the game at San Diego State.
Yeah, that BYU is much more dangerous when he's hitting his shots, and he did that in that matchup with San Diego State.
Oh, great ball fake by Leonard. And then Hartsock challenges. Emery. Well, we see so often in the college game in particular where that becomes a normal shot on the break. You see guys that can shoot it willing to pull up for 3.
Now, Jackson Emery, he added it up in his head. They didn't have numbers, but he had a wide open shot. So rather than try to force it, he just stopped up and confidently knocked down the 3.
Second 3 for Emery in the first half. San Diego State did not have this kind of lead on BYU at all, and there's Billy White active. So a different feeling right now for the Aztecs to play BYU with the lead. They trailed virtually the entire game on their home floor, San Diego State. Close game at Provo until the final 5. Nice stuff. That's the shooter. That's what a shooter gets, that kind of caress.
Yeah, this is a soft roll on the basketball. But I like the minutes that Brian Carwell has given San Diego State off the bench here. And he's had extended minutes here now. We haven't seen him a lot. But he's playing big in that post and been aggressive on the offensive end, creating good things for his team.
Good quick spin, baseline, held ball, that'll go to BYU. After we have an official timeout, Noah Hartsock playing tough in there. Hartsock with a scrape on the left side. San Diego State by 7.
He delivers the stats that matter, going past the highlights, deep into the trends and box scores. And he's usually right. Yeah! No one's quite sure how he does it, but when it comes to sports stats, he's ahead of his time.
Great Scott!
That flux capacitor almost left me in 1985. Gotta get that fixed.
Scott Sarah on It's a Numbers Game. Wednesday at 7:30 on the Mountain.
Welcome to the interactive center of the Mountain West Conference. The future of college athletics is here. Someday you will be among the elite.
San Diego State is headed to the Sweet 16.
Someday you will make history.
Fredette, the triple counted.
Someday you will be a champion.
Looking to ignite this BCS crowd. Touchdown TCU!
The Mountain West Conference. Someday is today.
Hello, I'm General Colin Powell. The Vietnam Wall is one of the most visited memorials in Washington. There is magic in that wall with its 58,000 names. We want to make sure those names never become anonymous to future generations. The new Education Center at the wall will keep the memories alive and pay tribute to all generations of GIs who answered the call to serve. Help us make this beautiful center a reality. Thank you.
San Diego State up 7 in the first half of this Conoco Mountain West Basketball Championship. Last night, Jimmer Fredette's 52-point night, historic in many ways, including surpassing Danny Ainge as the all-time scorer in BYU. It's great basketball history. More on that now as we join Lindsay Soto.
Well, Ted, I'm told that Danny Ainge was, in fact, in the building here last night watching that game. He sat with BYU Athletic Director Tom Holmoe, but he was a little bit under the weather, so he left a little bit early. Didn't get a chance to talk to Jimmer afterward, but he did shoot his dad, Al, a text message after the game. It read, "Congratulations on a great game. If I wasn't so sick, I would have been the first one in the locker room to shake his hand."
That's great, Lindsay. Al Fredette, there he is. Al, another link, his favorite athlete, Jimmer's dad, the great Hall of Fame slugger Harmon Killebrew. And Harmon is fighting a battle right now himself, doing a great job, and he's watching. I know that in his home in Idaho. We want to send our best on to Harmon.
Not just one of the great players of all time, but one of the great gentlemen of all time in the game of baseball. Or Billy White, having a great game. He just seems to have so much energy and pop in this game. 12 points now for Billy White on 4 of 5 from the field.
No surprise there. If San Diego State's playing their game, they're going to own the paint. That's the way they're going to win. DJ Gay now has Jimmer Fredette. You just see how long that lasts.
That's the 4th person we've seen on Jimmer in this game. We've seen Kawahi Leonard, Billy White, Franklin, and now DJ Gay.
Another San Diego State defensive play. Kawahi Leonard. This is the first time in the games against BYU that we've seen the Aztec defense make an impact.
Their hands have been very quick in the passing lanes in this game, and I think it's about passion and it's about energy.
And that's a big thing. 3rd straight game for both teams. And again, BYU in particular thin right now. Steven Rogers missing. He's the 7th man off the bench. BYU missing Davies, as we told you. Also missing Chris Collinsworth, who was a key reserve forward in the non-conference part of the season, but his year came to an early end because of knee problems. Buell back in for BYU. Let's look at San Diego State's D.
Yeah, they have been so good at converting great defensive plays into transition offense on the other end. Kawahi Leonard here with the easy throw down in transition. But you mentioned San Diego State playing with a lot of energy. Remember, neither of these teams will have to do this in the NCAA tournament. You don't play 3 nights in a row. It's more like regular season. You play a Thursday, Saturday, a Friday, Sunday. You need more depth to win a conference tournament than you do to win an NCAA game.
And this is the 3rd straight year that San Diego State has been in this game, this championship game. So Steve Fisher knows this well. The players know it well. Rayhan saw his shot clock winding down. And it may be the prior experiences. Last year's championship game, San Diego State, UNLV, both teams did seem to show the effects of the grind.
And that last year's game was very sloppy for both teams. This year, I think San Diego State looks extremely sharp and like they've got a lot of energy.
BYU Thursday had a very close game with TCU, and Fredette with a straight-up jumper. But Abuo active to steal that rebound. BYU did not sub at all in the second half of that game Thursday. Same 5 men, played all 20. BYU, and the Cougars right now are doing a nice job surviving offensive rebounding and giving themselves some extra possessions.
They are getting after it and crashing those boards. You have to do that against the San Diego State team. They have 6 offensive boards right now.
Fredette with 10 points. DJ Gay again on him. Jimmer can shoot over him. That's the advantage there. Jimmer can pull that shot off.
And when I talked to DJ late last night, I said, will you get to guard Jimmer Fredette much? And he said, not a lot. And they feel like they have a better chance when they have longer guys, taller guys on Fredette for that very reason.
Billy White is at the table to come back for San Diego State. Leonard. Well, call for dragging.
You see DJ Gay, unless he gets some help with Jimmer Fredette, that's just a little too easy. With that step back, he can shoot it over the top.
Yeah, that's what Jimmer, we saw the step back so wonderfully last night. And he can almost step straight up for DJ Gay. Now Billy White back on him. Switched Malcolm Thomas. And Fredette dunking under Thomas, hoping to get that foul call. Emery. Long shots mean long scramble rebounds. Finally, San Diego State out with it. DJ Gay, clock running now to 10. And Leonard baseline, trapped. Grayhan, skip. Gale have to shoot. Just beat the buzzer. Look at that tip by Billy White. The first tip was phenomenal, and set up the second.
But Billy White is playing unbelievable in this one.
Jimmer back answers. 14 points each way, Fredette and White. Leonard. Call for traveling. That'll get us to a turnover. How about this first half play by Billy White?
He has been phenomenal. 14 points, 6 rebounds, and just playing so active. He's got his San Diego State Aztecs in the lead, but Jimmer Fredette answering on the other end. We've got a good one here in the Thomas and Mack.
Why do we go through so much hassle for our morning coffee? We wait for it, make it, fuss with it, carry it around. There has to be a faster and easier way to get your morning wake up. There is. 5-Hour Energy. It's the morning wake up you don't have to make, wait for, or hassle with. And it really works. Just open it up and knock it back.
That was fast and easy.
5-Hour Energy. The no wait, no hassle way to a great morning.
Mountain Sports Report, your nightly look at the Mountain West sports scene. 5 nights a week, join the Mountains team for coverage of your teams.
He's a guy that's really stepped up from a leadership standpoint.
I just try to lead by example.
From the latest news,
it was a battle between 2 of the top teams in the Mountain West Conference,
to stories that reach beyond the game.
You know, they're getting real involved and they're having fun.
Mountain Sports Report, presented by Dodge, Tuesday through Friday at 5:30 and Saturday at 10 on the Mountain.
American Family Insurance created a unique policy for the Conway family. It's called the policy. American Family Insurance knows every family is unique, but one thing they all need is quality auto coverage with outstanding service at a fair price. Call 1-800-MY-AmFam, visit amfam.com, or contact your local agent for an auto quote today. Customized protection costs less than you think.
American Family Insurance.
San Diego State by 9. Those numbers, by the way, the 7 and 8 are the national rankings of the two teams, to make that clear. More on that in a moment, but a reminder that coming up at halftime, we'll have the U.S. Bank NBC Sports Report. Liam McHugh will recap all that's going on in this incredible day in college basketball, all coming up at the half. Both these teams continue to get more love from the computers than they do from the human voters. And virtually every RPI simulation you see now, for example, RPIratings.com today, San Diego State 3rd, BYU 4th. And almost every one, these two teams rank higher than the RPI than they gotten from the voters.
We talk a lot about East Coast bias, and I think that it's playing big time into the human ratings for both of these teams.
Oh, sloppy pass there by Rogers of BYU.
It's 5 turnovers now for BYU, just 2 for San Diego State. But those turnovers for San Diego State have typically resulted in run-out layups. San Diego State with 9 points off of turnovers.
San Diego State has its starting 5 back on the floor. Steve Fisher's worked his bench in and out. He's going to finish the half, it looks like, with the starters. Starting 5, or actually 4 starters for BYU. And Rogers, great baseline cut. Perfectly timed, Kawahi Leonard. He has 8.
And this front line of San Diego State, so agile, so athletic. If they get the ball in the paint in a good position, they will throw it down on you.
11 is the largest lead in the first half. Several occasions. Fredette, Billy White chasing it. Here's the mismatch. And to find it, they did. Steven Rogers on much shorter DJ Gay.
That's that foul, number 4.
Let's watch this back cut on the other end of the court. The ball goes into the post. If you can get it into the high post against the zone, you've got good things happening. And great recognition by Kawahi Leonard. Steven Rogers lost track of where he was. And he went back door.
Steven Rogers off the bench here for BYU. The Cougars this year lost twice to New Mexico in regular season play. They then beat New Mexico last night. And they lost way back in December in Southern California to UCLA. 30-3. San Diego State 31-2. The 2 BYU.
And both of these teams, you and I have talked a lot about it, Ted. When you get 30 wins, now these teams should both be 2 seeds at the worst. I have a feeling because of the human bias, we may not see that, but certainly they have earned that, win or lose in this ball game.
Billy White on the baseline. Well, this is Billy White in a nutshell. He is not the steadiest player, not the most consistent player. When he's on, though, he had 30 this year at Gonzaga, on Gonzaga's home floor. San Diego State beat him. That's a significant game.
He's 6 of 7 in this game. I mean, he just is feeling it in a big way.
16 points and 6 rebounds in the first half for White. Jimmer sees DJ Gay on him again. He can shoot over him. But Leonard with the defensive rebound.
Didn't quite get those shoulders square that time, moving to his left.
Trying to get Leonard to give the ball up. San Diego State trying to make sure they win these last couple of minutes and take a double-digit lead in. Late clock, Tapley. Great save by Gay. Jackson Emery almost stole that, and Leonard hits a 3. An inch play there.
Okay, what a play by DJ Gay. Not only to save it, but to find Kawahi Leonard open.
And then Fredette has it picked, but Emery gets back. How well Emery does that.
Yeah, Tim Miles from Colorado State said every time BYU turns it over, Jackson Emery just goes back on the other end and steals it back, so it ends up being a neutral. And how many times have we seen that, Ted, this season?
He broke Danny Ainge's steals record at BYU. He broke that early this year. A foul on the floor here against San Diego State.
Watch this heads-up play by DJ Gay. An errant pass. It's going to go out of bounds. And not only does he keep it in play, but has the great vision to get it to Kawahi Leonard for the three-point shot.
And we saw in that replay how close Jackson Emery came to stealing that pass. And how huge it is, that near miss, and then Leonard buries the shot. That was the 6th team foul on San Diego State. Now we get Hartsock and Thomas tangle. And Scott Thornley's trying to police things here. He's going to put Hartsock on the foul line. They call the foul on Malcolm Thomas there. Dead ball foul. Malcolm Thomas is 2nd, 7th, and that puts Hartsock at the line.
When Scott Thornley, a lot of jockeying was going on, positioning their before that out-of-bounds play, and Scott Thornley was deep, and he's explaining it to the other official right now.
And then a wise thing, I think, on the San Diego State side, they take Thomas out of the game.
Yeah, he got a little out of control down there, and Scott Thornley saw it.
That was a second foul. They don't need another one on him. Billy White, the same thing. Billy White is sitting. The officials are now conferring again. This alternate referee, Eric Curry, got the attention of Larry Spalding here, and they're going to talk. And the officials do have the right to look at this on video. This is where it happened, right here, this dead ball situation. That's what Scott Thornley called right there, was Thomas smacking Hartsock's arm. Don't think there'll be anything more. From that look, it doesn't appear there'd be anything more than what was already called.
The second slap down is the one that I think that Scott Thornley called. And keep in mind, this is a really good officiating.
Well, they just, I believe, I heard they ruled that a contact technical, so Fredette's going to shoot. Scott Thornley coming over here. Let's see if he gives us an explanation. There, thank you, Scott Thornley. Thanks, Scott, one of the real veteran officials, helping us make sure there, because it was a dead ball foul called a contact technical.
Dead ball contact, so because of that, it becomes a technical foul, and now BYU will take the ball out of bounds. So we appreciate Scott coming over and filling us in. This is a very, very seasoned and good officiating crew for this championship.
So now BYU can turn this into a 4 or 5 point play here, because they'll get the last shot of the half. Gay runs out to double. He tried to get the ball from Fredette. Fredette's going to have it. Chase Tapley. Oh. Ball screen. Fredette trapped. He's out way deep. Way deep. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. There's nowhere too deep for Fredette. The officials again will check this on video to be sure it looked good.
How do you make, whether this is good or not in terms of the clock, how do you even make that shot?
It's Jimmer Fredette. Come on, Blaine.
I mean, that's crazy. He's got two guys sitting on him. He splits it, double pumps. And I don't know, how close was that?
That was close.
That was really, really close. They ruled it a make.
He got away with a little shuffle of the feet, but...
I don't know. I don't think he had it out of his hands.
Yeah, that's an interesting view there.
Yeah, I'm looking for the light on the backboard.
And that's what the officials look at. They look at that red rim, the red rim of the scoreboard.
Let's take a look.
Because the ball left his hand.
Red light. I think it's still in his hand, and I think they may wave that one off.
That is an agonizingly close call. And if you've been watching college basketball all throughout this conference week, you've seen a couple of shots like that.
Yeah.
Virginia Tech last night won a game on this very ruling. This very same play where it was a fraction of a tenth of a second. No basket.
And wave it off right now.
No basket.
That's the right call. And as I said, regardless of whether that went in or not, how do you even make that shot, Ted?
I agree, except it's Jimmer Fredette. But the break for San Diego State is that by fractions of a second, the ability to use video to confirm the officials are able to make that call. No basket for Jimmer Fredette. And so San Diego State takes that double-digit lead into the locker room for the Mountain West Conference Championship. Despite Jimmer Fredette doing everything he can and scoring 16, it's San Diego State by 12. The U.S. Bank NBC Sports Halftime Report on the other side of this break.
The 2011 Conoco Mountain West Conference Basketball Championships on Versus is brought to you by Papa John's. Try our new hearty Italian meats pizza for just $11.
The top stories, the tough issues. Nothing is off limits when Mountain West reporters tackle the hottest topics in sports on Around the Mountain.
Guys, how big of a deal is that for the Mountain West Conference?
You probably couldn't have gone out and recruited a better person.
Get in-depth insight.
Everybody's picking these guys to be a national championship contender.
And they should be very, very fine.
And no holds barred opinions.
I think systematically they have to take a hard look at that philosophy.
Every week on Around the Mountain, presented by Jeep. Wednesday at 7 on the Mountain.
It's the signal, calling those who seek truth, justice, and a world-class Napa leather-trimmed command center. The newly refined 2011 Dodge lineup. 6 new vehicles that'll have you thinking, holy craftsmanship, Dodge man. Happy premiering.
During the Dodge Premier event, lease the new 2011 Durango all-wheel drive Express for $359 a month for well-qualified lessees.
This is a moment in BYU history. The year is 1990. BYU quarterback Ty Detmer is embarking on one of the greatest single seasons in the annals of college football history, setting an unheard of 42 NCAA records as he throws for nearly 5,200 yards with 41 touchdown strikes.
Out of harm's way, once, now twice, now 3 touchdowns. Has a man open, Bellini.
When the curtain finally closes on the 1990 campaign, Detmer's trophy case will include the ultimate trifecta, the Heisman Trophy, the Maxwell Award, and the Davy O'Brien Award. A fitting tribute to one of the greatest single-season performances in NCAA history. This has been a moment in BYU history.
Tuesday, it's Mountain West Baseball when TCU plays host to Texas State. Catch Mountain Sports Report at 5 and the Bobcats and Horned Frogs at 5:30, only on the Mountain.
Welcome back to Las Vegas, the Conoco Mountain West Basketball Championships. Yes, San Diego State, 43 points in the first half. A 12-point lead because of the disallowed basket by Fredette that came just after the buzzer of the first half. San Diego State played so impressive, the energy with which they played in this first half.
And the fact that they're playing the third night in a row, we wondered if it would be a little bit ragged out there. And San Diego State in no way has looked ragged. Their defense has been outstanding, and that defense has led to offensive production in transition on the other end. They have 6 takeaways from BYU, 6 turnovers forced. And on those 6 turnovers, BYU has given up 11 points. Billy White credited with 4. And he has been a man possessed in this first half. Billy White defending, deflecting the ball, running the floor. Here, Kawahi Leonard with a run out. And that's been the story of this first half. That has been the difference for these Aztecs.
So as you look at the numbers and you see the poor shooting for BYU, excellent shooting for San Diego State. Well, and the paint, that would be an obvious one.
The excellent shooting comes as a result of a lot of layups because they're defending so well. This really was a half about San Diego State defense.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. First time in 5 halves that San Diego State defense made an impression. Is that a big reason for Fredette's different first half?
Absolutely. And you know, he's not making some of the shots. He made crazy shots last night. Don't get me wrong, but San Diego State has had length covering Jimmer Fredette. They've made it very difficult. Every shot has been contested.
Right away, a switch, DJ Gay on Fredette. Kyle Collinsworth. Does BYU have the legs, third straight day, thin bench, to come back from 12 down?
That is a great question. They've had to play a lot of minutes.
It's exactly what they did in the game at San Diego State 3 weeks ago. They got the lead on San Diego State and held it and forced the Aztecs to play 40 minutes of catch-up.
And that is tough. The game plan for San Diego State was to jump on BYU early, so they played perfectly into that plan.
Emery baseline drive, body foul on Chase Tapley of San Diego State. A little feedback from the coaches now as we check in with Lindsey Soto.
Chase Tapley. That's his second personal first team foul this half against the Aztecs.
So back into play with BYU. And there's Billy White trying to stab. Billy White picked Fredette's pocket. But Leonard flies in for the tip. And it all starts as White went down after the play. And the official stopped play for a moment. But the defensive assignment putting Billy White on Jimmer Fredette, how that pays off as he picks Fredette's pocket.
And this is the 5th steal for Billy White in this ball game. He has been amazing, and I don't know what happened to him at the end of that. I think he got hit across the face. He wasn't very happy about it, and obviously didn't feel too good. But so he was upset. But how about Kawahi Leonard running?
Yes.
And sometimes you think, oh, my guy's got it. I don't need to go down. There's a breakaway. But Kawahi Leonard, not being a lazy man, gets down and makes a big play.
Good call, Blaine Hartsock missing. Kyle Collinsworth, nice job. Sets up Emery. Doesn't get the bounce, and Thomas clears for San Diego State. But still, Billy White, of all people, Billy White with 5 steals in just over a half.
Unbelievable. And you know that this coaching staff challenged him Well, Brian Dutcher does such a good job. I know that they challenged him to be a great defender today.
Malcolm Thomas. One more time. Billy White. He'll go to the line. All right, let's check in again with Lindsay.
Guys, San Diego State celebrating their points in the paint in the first half, 24 total. They feel like their ability to get the ball inside has been the difference in this game. Look for them to continue to work their bench in the second half. They're all about fresh legs, especially on Jimmer. I asked who would see the most time on him here in the second half. I was told whoever's legs are the freshest. As for BYU, Dave Rose says they need to slow down on offense. They feel like they got sped up, and the San Diego State length had something to do with that on defense, focusing on getting back in transition.
How many times has Dave Rose said that at halftime? We need to slow down?
Yeah, and I think what he means, not slow down in terms of transition, but when they get in their half-court sets, they've been in a rush. And they haven't waited for good shots. They've forced some things, and that's what he's talking about. Slow down, run the offense, and see it. And for San Diego State, I know that Steve Fisher at halftime talked about limit BYU to one shot.
Nice play. It was the biggest lead of the game for San Diego State, but Kyle Collinsworth answers for BYU. Here's where I would think San Diego State now would like to grind the game.
Yeah, this is the time that if you don't, and Coach Fisher at halftime, always get a report from their locker room from Mike May. He said that Coach Fisher said, run smart, so only run when it's the right time. Don't force things in transition.
Look at that. Great. Left hand all the way. Chase Tapley. Now this is BYU. Jimmer trying to push it even after a made basket. Good save, Emery. Jimmer, when he has seen DJ Gay on him, he has been just going. He's going. Yeah, DJ.
Let's take a look again at Tapley on the other end. This is a nice read. You see that ball fake, just old school. Gets Jackson Emery, who's one of the better defenders in the country, off of his feet and then just blows by off the dribble. And this is a basketball team, San Diego State, that has a lot of guys that can take you off the dribble. 1 through 5, they can put the ball on the floor and attack the rim.
DJ Gay foul for San Diego State, his first. Jimmer now with 18 for BYU. But they really, BYU's in a tough spot here. They've really got to play uphill. And do they have the legs? Do they have the energy to do it?
And they're going to have to find energy on defense. San Diego State got the lead by playing great D, and that's the way BYU will have to get it back. They will have to create some turnovers and get out and run the basketball a little bit.
Nice kick out. Late clock shot by Gay. Put back Leonard. And BYU rather dodges there. San Diego State doesn't score. Collinsworth threw it up as he was going down, and it will come back to San Diego State.
And Collinsworth on this one. This is where Dave Rose is talking about slow down a little bit. I don't know how he even got that thing on the rim. That was a playground shot right there. And doesn't pay off for BYU. Collinsworth with a good rebound. They did not have numbers. Would have been better off to pull it out and run an offensive set.
I'm interested here, Brian, because now James Anderson has come in. It's the first time we've seen him. He's the 8th man for BYU, a 6'10 junior. He's right in the middle. But remember one thing, big picture here. BYU knows they're playing in the tournament. And they know another thing. They're going to play Thursday. Because BYU does not participate in athletics on Sunday, they will go to a Thursday, Saturday site.
So that's a good point.
Right.
You play some of your depth, and at what point in this game do you go, wow, San Diego State's just got all the energy. We need to play more depth to make sure our guys are rested.
That's what I'm just interested if that plays at all. I don't know if it plays into Dave Rose's thinking.
I think at 16 minutes it probably doesn't, because he's so confident as you watch this block by James Anderson on the end. At this point in the game, they shoot the ball well enough and have so many three-point shooters. They probably feel like they can still get back in this thing.
BYU will be home to campus tonight, but then they will travel on Tuesday to wherever their NCAA site will be. They hope it's in the West. Both West sites, Denver and Tucson, do play Thursday. And Tapley needed some big shots. It's only a 2, but still a very important. Tapley's giving him a nice boost with that outside shooting.
Yeah, he's 3 for 5 in this one.
Tough one, Jimmer, way short. Malcolm Thomas. An awful lot of frustration being flushed out of San Diego State system right now. Timeout BYU. They said they're proud. They lost both regular season games. The only team that's beaten in BYU. They want to avenge that today.
Malcolm Thomas with the throw down. He blocks it on one end and throws it down on the other. San Diego way out in front.
Not that long ago, many families were priced out of an overheated housing market. The times have changed. Get the facts at RE/MAX.com. It's a great place to see all the listings in thousands of cities and towns. With lots of houses to choose from and down-to-earth prices, the dream of owning a home seems more attainable than ever. Find out what an experienced RE/MAX agent can do for you. Nobody sells more real estate than RE/MAX. Visit RE/MAX.com today.
This is a moment in San Diego State history. From 1980 through 1983, one woman dominated the hardwood on Montezuma Mesa. Judy Porter was a 6'3" center who quickly became the staple of Aztec women's basketball. As a junior in 1982, she averaged 19.7 points per game and was named a Wade Trophy finalist, an honor which went to the top women's collegiate basketball player. As a senior, Porter averaged 22.6 points per game and eventually became San Diego State's all-time leading scorer. But Porter didn't stop there. She also holds the Aztec record as the top rebounder with 1,498 in her career. A four-time all-conference performer, Porter is the only female to have her jersey retired. In 1990, her career was honored in style when she was inducted into the Aztec Hall of Fame. This has been a moment in San Diego State history.
Empower yourself with knowledge and become the most informed Mountain West Conference fan around by frequenting our official blog, Twitter, and Facebook pages. Learn inside information and ponder over rumor-squashing facts. Become privy to hot-off-the-press news, engage in contests, and communicate with fellow fans. Visit the MWC.com to access our social media sites and become your own inside source today.
We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We're going to beat them and bust them. Beat them.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Let's get a little bit rowdy. R-O-W-D-Y.
Take time to be a dad
One more
today.
time. Oh, those boys are much too much. Those boys.
The top stories, the tough issues. Nothing is off limits when Mountain West reporters tackle the hottest topics in sports on Around the Mountain.
Guys, how big of a deal is that for the Mountain West Conference?
You probably couldn't have gone out and recruited a better person.
Get in-depth insight.
Everybody's picking these guys to be a national championship contender.
And they should be very, very fine.
And no-holds-barred opinions.
I think systematically they have to take a hard look at that philosophy.
Every week on Around the Mountain, presented by Jeep. Wednesday at 7 on the Mountain.
Last night, he had our jaws dropping. You had people walking around the building last night all going wow to each other. Jimmer Fredette dropped 52 on New Mexico. As another series of phenomenal performances we've seen this year from this year's Conoco Mountain West Conference Basketball Athlete of the Year. How about this? Not the made shot play, but the reaction.
Yeah, he acts like, yeah, I do that all the time. No problem.
That was a 47-point game he had at Utah. He had a 49-pointer last year against Arizona. Broke them all with his 52 last night. Broke Ainge's BYU record. He's had 18 straight games of 21 or more points. He should probably get that number today. A phenomenal season by Jimmer Fredette that has grabbed everyone's attention. There are how many, 30 professional scouts in the building today? I don't know what they need to see.
I'll tell you what's amazing about him is he's remained a very humble young man. I don't know how he's been able to continue to perform with the circus that has been the Jimmer show all year long. He's like a rock star wherever he goes.
It started early in the year. BYU played a game against Vermont in Glens Falls, New York, in Jimmer Fredette's hometown. They had 6,300 people, a sold-out building, and Jimmer said that if he didn't know everybody in the building, his family did. Tip by Anderson missing. Fredette's shot missed, and Tapley out for San Diego State. Ray high. Oh, wow. Gets a body block. Man. That's a slightly hard foul. Anderson of BYU. Rayon shaking his cobwebs out as he picks himself up. He'll go to the line when we come back.
1, 2, 3, that's the speed of the sea. ABC, that's the speed of the knee. I'd rather limit. The triggers always change, but never get it. 1, 2, 3.
Unfortunately, you can't teleport yourself out of a bad situation. But what you can do is make better decisions when you drive. Don't drive distracted. Click it, don't risk it.
Walk right in, sit right down. Baby, let your hair hang down. Walk right in, sit right down. But baby, don't you wait so long.
For over 25 years, Great Clips has been the best value in haircuts. Just walk into any of our 2,700 salons today, and you'll see why there's no better time than now to try Great Clips.
Relax, you're at Great Clips.
Here's a moment in BYU history. December 21st, 1984, the undefeated and brazen BYU Cougars took on the fierce Michigan Wolverines in the Holiday Bowl, deciding who would stand tall as number one. Legendary coach Lavelle Edwards and star quarterback Robbie Bosco marched the Cougars past Michigan 24-17. BYU became the first school to win a national championship without winning the traditional New Year's Day bowl game. This has been a moment in BYU history.
It's America First Credit Union's billion-dollar loan sale. Yes, that's billion with a B. In home loans, auto loans, RV loans, and personal loans, all at incredible rates. Call, visit a branch, or go to americafirst.com. Members come first.
He delivers the stats that matter, going past the highlights, deep into the trends and box scores. And he's usually right. Yeah! No one's quite sure how he does it, but when it comes to sports stats, he's ahead of his time.
Great Scott! That flux capacitor almost left me in 1985. Gotta get that fixed.
Scott Sarah on It's a Numbers Game. Wednesday at 7:30 on the Mountain.
With that score, I think this is a good time to talk to one of San Diego State's biggest fans, Lindsay Soto.
Marshall Faulk going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame this summer is, of course, San Diego State's probably most famous athlete. You have watched about 19 San Diego State games this year. What do you think it is about this team that makes them so special?
Well, I think they're versatile. I believe their depth. Coach Fisher's done a great job at when guys have been out with injuries or whatever it is, trusting in the young guys coming off the bench. And I think more than anything, when you think about the senior leadership, you know, Billy White, Malcolm Thomas, DJ Gay, and what they bring. And obviously, when you have a guy like Kawahi Leonard, who can have a presence and close games out, it's pretty special.
You were here yesterday, got a chance to watch Jimmer drop 52. Your thoughts on him?
Kid is special. He's special. He can shoot. His future in the NBA is great. People talk about his lack of playing defense, but I believe defense is something you can pick up when you shoot as well as he does.
Thanks a lot, Marshall.
All right.
Ted?
All right, Lindsay Marshall Faulk. I would say you put Marshall Faulk, Tony Gwynn, as Malcolm Thomas misses the reversal there. Jimmer's out running. Nice hands by Tapley. That's San Diego State again. What a play by Tapley. And he'll get fouled going the other way.
That play right there, Ted, it typifies this game for San Diego State. BYU with numbers, 3-on-2. Tapley gets a piece, and look at the great heads-up play. Yes. How many times have I said a hustle play by that guy right there? Kawahi Leonard just runs the floor and seems to have limitless energy. He has been big time in this one with the hustle plays.
Tapley at the lines. We have to say, we got to give some Tony Gwynn. Yeah. Or as I like to call him now, Coach Gwynn. He's the baseball coach at San Diego State. Another great alum, and probably maybe the best basketball player Firing on Michael Cage.
Yeah, Michael Cage.
One of the great
rebounder, yeah.
Right now, the San Diego State fans, and we mentioned at the outset, this building, 17,000 plus, filled up, and it has to be 90% BYU. The pockets of San Diego State fans are trying to make themselves heard here. They are loving this. They are loving that. Tapley to Thomas. Maybe 2,000 San Diego State fans here, sound like 20,000.
And San Diego State's just having a good time right now. They are having fun. They call the student section the show. And when San Diego State gets rolling, they become the show on the floor. Look, this is a beautifully placed pass. You got Jackson Emery going up to try to defend against Malcolm Thomas. That ball has to be put in a perfect spot. That was a great pass by Chase Tapley.
The first game of the Mountain West season this year. On this floor, Brock Zylstra's in for the first time for BYU. BYU played here against UNLV. Jimmer Fredette had never beaten UNLV here. And there's a body foul that knocks Fredette down. Kawahi Leonard is called. Jimmer Fredette, Dave Rose had never won against UNLV since he was the BYU coach on this floor. Jimmer Fredette dropped 39 on UNLV that first game of the year, and I think it set a tone for the entire year. And it was, you felt it was all the frustration coming out for BYU that night. I feel the same thing right now for San Diego State.
I think you're absolutely right, Ted. I sense here that the frustration has driven, controlled rage is a good thing in sport, and these guys are coming out to prove something here.
There's a loose ball fight, and Rehan wins it for San Diego State. As this lead continues to grow, I'm curious to see how Dave Rose plays this. We mentioned with BYU knowing they're going to play somewhere in the NCAAs on Thursday. Rehan partially blocked. San Diego State really did not get a good service last year. They won the Mountain West Conference tournament, and they got shipped to Providence.
Yeah, that was not right.
Very poor seeding. And they lost their first round. That's why Steve Fisher is so adamant this year. He said his goal was to win an NCAA tournament game. No San Diego State team has ever done that. Fredette hits a tough one. That's the first field goal of the second half for Fredette. 20 points total. San Diego State, nice patience, and finally Thomas, and one. Malcolm Thomas.
San Diego State really feeling it now, Ted. You can tell the Rage Unleashed are playing great defense. They're attacking Malcolm Thomas with a foul and the finish.
American Family Insurance created a unique policy for the Conway family. It's called the policy. American Family Insurance knows every family is unique, but one thing they all need is quality auto coverage with outstanding service at a fair price. Call 1-800-MY-AmFam, visit amfam.com, or contact your local agent for an auto quote today. Customized protection costs less than you think.
American Family Insurance.
Here's a moment in San Diego State history. 1991, freshman running back Marshall Falk had a breakout game that was quite the sign of things to come. Against the University of the Pacific, he simply dominated with 37 carries, 386 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Statistically speaking, his freshman season would be his best, with 23 touchdowns and almost 1,500 yards. This has been a moment in San Diego State history.
Mountain Sports Report. your nightly look at the Mountain West sports scene. 5 nights a week, join the Mountains team for coverage of your teams.
He's a guy that's really stepped up from a leadership standpoint.
I just try to lead by example.
From the latest news,
it was a battle between two of the top teams in the Mountain West Conference,
to stories that reach beyond the game.
You know, they're getting real involved and they're having fun.
Mountain Sports Report, presented by Dodge. Tuesday through Friday at 5:30 and Saturday at 10 on the Mountain.
Well, it's March Madness, yes, but versus this Thursday, we'll give you a little St. Patrick's Day treat. Celebrate the Irish with 3 great Notre Dame football games beginning at 5 Eastern. The famous Snow Bowl against Penn State. If you patronize our sponsors, you can take a break and you don't have to watch the USC game, as great a game as it was. And then the game of the century, Notre Dame and Florida State from 1993. It all begins Thursday at 5 Eastern. Notre Dame's greatest game's only on Versus. I'm only joking. That was the 2005 Notre Dame USC game. It was a phenomenal game by the two teams. The officials weren't so great. The game was a phenomenal game. And here's San Diego State looking ahead. What do you think, Blaine, this earns them from Indianapolis tomorrow?
You know what? I think they need to be considered for a 1 seed. You win this tournament, 31 wins. I have a suspicion that they're going to be considered for a 2 seed, and I think they should be no worse than a 2 seed. And this is a team with the kind of depth, the kind of athleticism in the front line that can go a long way in this tournament.
The other element that goes into this is that the Mountain West has been almost all year the 4th-ranked team in conference RPI, ahead of the ACC, ahead of the Pac-10, ahead of the SEC. You wouldn't know that if you listen to certain voices now about how many teams are going to get in the tournament.
If you have a top 5 RPI, you're the regular season co-champion, and you win your conference tournament, I mean, that should get consideration for a 1 seed in my mind. And if they're anything worse than a 2 seed, I would be very surprised.
No team since 2002 that has won 30 games has been worse than a 2 seed. And both of these teams are at 30 plus. 30 for BYU, 31 for San Diego State.
Absolutely.
Now, the question that we'll find out the answer to, we seem to find it out every year, is do those folks meeting in Indianapolis, as well-intentioned as they are, is it better to be mediocre in a power league, or is it better to be really good in what's not necessarily a power league? I don't think anybody's going to confuse the Mountain West with the Big East, but this is the best year that Mountain West has ever had, and you have 2 of the top teams in the country, 2 of the top 5 RPI teams all year long, right here.
And you can say you wouldn't confuse them with the Big East, but you wouldn't confuse any conference with the Big East this year.
True.
The best conference in basketball. But this season, you would compare it favorably, in fact, better than the ACC, better than the Pac-10, better than the SEC. And so I think that both of these teams should get very favorable seeds in this tournament.
It was dangerous. I almost spit my lunch out yesterday when I heard a voice proclaim that Alabama was absolutely with an RPI in the 80s. I couldn't believe it. It was
then Colorado State should be absolutely in.
All right, now San Diego State trying to avenge 2 tough losses, the only 2 all year. The only thing that's kept them from perfection, BYU. San Diego State trying to get revenge and trying to win its 2nd straight Mountain West Conference championship. Hartsock with the basket.
Rarely do you see Hartsock with his back to the basket in a post-up position, but he does have that capability. Most of the time, he's out on the outside, the beneficiary of kicks from Jackson Emery and particularly Jimmer Fredette as he drives.
Jamal Franklin on the floor for San Diego State. Fredette's still out there for BYU. Emery is sitting. And again, these last now 10 minutes, it'll be interesting to see how Dave Rose plays his players. Given the score, given the NCAA is coming up on Thursday for BYU. Jimmer Fredette gets the foul, and he'll get to the line. Foul on Franklin of San Diego State. One thing that the NCAA committee in Indianapolis admits they do consider will be BYU's status without Brandon Davis, and then no one hides that fact. That is part of the consideration.
You know, and BYU's problems double because you see Chris Collinsworth sitting just to Brandon Davies' left, and Collinsworth was another big body that they lost to injury, microfracture surgery early in there. He's 6'9" and 235. What do you have sitting on the bench right there? The 2 guys that we're zooming in on a little bit. 6'9", 235, 6'9", 235. That hurts on interior defense. But make no mistake, this game is not about interior. This game has been about tremendous defense, turnovers turning into home runs on the other end. This wasn't about interior play. There's Billy White going crazy defending in this one. He was terrific.
21 points now for Jimmer Fredette. That's his 19th straight game of 21 or more. And remember, this for BYU is the last run. Jimmer Fredette, Jackson Emery are both seniors. Kyle Collinsworth, the freshman starter, as Franklin gets flattened by a Hard Sox screen. Kyle Collinsworth will go off on an LDS church mission. So BYU is going to be decimated in the backcourt next year. Abuo will put back. So this is special for BYU, what they've got coming ahead of them. They know this group that's accomplished so much as its last run together in the tournament.
And for both of these teams, you think of the seniors on the San Diego State team and the seniors on this BYU team. These teams are set up for great tournament runs, and they've got to take advantage of it this year and get deep.
All right, coming up next on Versus, the 2011 PBR season continues. The Hordes storming into Glendale, Arizona for a fully loaded weekend of riding. The PBR from Glendale comes up next on Versus. And that's, of course, for San Diego State. BYU won its first round game in the NCAAs last year. They won a great overtime battle from Florida. San Diego State, we mentioned, has never won a game in the NCAA tournament.
Well, as you mentioned, that's the goal for Steve Fisher, not to just get there. They've taken steps each year, tremendous progress, and he and the staff has been together. Brian Dutcher has been at Steve Fisher's side for a long, long time, and they've taken this program, and step by step, they've advanced the program.
So many great stories around college basketball unfolding today. Another freshman, Harrison Barnes, had 40 points. North Carolina, overtime win. They'll play for the ACC title. And that's one of the battles that's going to go on for a #1 seed. Perhaps San Diego State, perhaps the ACC champ in the Big East. Jimmer Fredette, nothing like last night when he was just astounding. 21 tonight.
This BYU team just struggled, especially in the second half. 25% from the field, just 4 of 16 here in the second half. And they're not shooting well, but you've got to give San Diego State a tremendous amount of credit. They have been so energetic and so passionate defensively that they've made every shot difficult for this BYU team.
Fredette still has gotten over 20. He's only had 4 games all year out of 34 where he's had under 20 points. They were all back in the non-conference. DJ Gay last night hit the game winner. What San Diego State has had today that BYU had in the game at San Diego 3 weeks ago. San Diego State's had balance.
And they've gotten contributions, not just balance in scoring, but in all areas. Good defensive plays, hustle plays from different guys. Very unselfish game from these Aztecs.
There's a turnover. Abuo stepped in front of that entry pass. Coming up to 8 minutes as Billy White again takes Fredette. Fredette there, that's what we talked about in the first half. He just takes the ball right at you, forces that contact, and winds himself with a foul line.
And this is an old-fashioned type play. Watch. He's going to get Billy White up off the ground. The jump stop, then look at that fake. And then Billy White just cannot stop himself from making body contact.
Well, Fredette is a phenomenal foul shooter, 90% for the air, and you're seeing a rarity. He's missed 2 of them in the second half. Missed 3. You probably count on 2 fingers the times Fredette's gone to the line and missed 2 foul shots in succession.
And then you have to ask yourself, okay, so how tired is he after that ridiculous effort last night? Because he doesn't miss free throws.
Wayne, I'd like we maybe saw the other game where that happened here in Versus at New Mexico.
Yeah.
3 days after BYU's first emotional game with San Diego State, it looked like BYU and Jimmer lost a little bit of their steam down the stretch. New Mexico had a great finish to that game. Tapley, and the bat ball goes out of bounds. That was off Collinsworth to BYU. It'll be San Diego State keeping it when we come back. 7:22. That's what separates San Diego State from another dream.
The top stories, the tough issues. Nothing is off limits when Mountain West reporters tackle the hottest topics in sports on Around the Mountain.
Guys, how big of a deal is that for the Mountain West Conference?
You probably couldn't have gone out and recruited a better person.
Get in-depth insight.
Everybody's picking these guys to be a national championship contender.
And they should be very, very fine.
And no holds barred opinions.
I think systematically they have to take a hard look at that philosophy.
Every week on Around the Mountain, presented by Jeep. Wednesday at 7 on the Mountain.
Rebound, clock winding down.
With every trip down the court.
Crossover dribble in the lane.
With every tick of the clock.
Yeah! A kick out to the corner with 3 seconds left.
You're one step closer.
Lobs inside.
To winning it all.
Powers it home at the buzzer. They win!
The future of college basketball is here.
And the Mountain West sends another team to the tourney.
The Mountain West Conference. Someday is today.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Tuesday, it's Mountain West Baseball when TCU plays host to Texas State. Catch Mountain Sports Report at 5 and the Bobcats and Horned Frogs at 5:30, only on the Mountain.
My assignment in biology is on the reproductive system, so I was kind of worried some pretty gnarly stuff would come up in my searches, but it didn't.
Find out more about parental controls at pointsmartclicksafe.org.
Recent winners of the Mountain West Conference men's title on their home floor, UNLV. Back-to-back 07-08 tournament championships. Utah, they're remarkable. They won the regular season and the tournament in 09. And then San Diego State with their dream victory last year that got them off the bubble in the tournament. You saw how much it meant to Steve Fisher, and they are 7-22 away from backing it up with the 2011, what would be co-regular season championship and then tournament title. And Steve Fisher, you just marvel. And if you had a chance to go to a game at San Diego State this year, if you watched one anywhere along the way and saw the atmosphere that was created, the spirit, San Diego doesn't have a real basketball tradition of any sort, yet the spirit that was created by this program, they sold their season out at Viejas Arena, just phenomenal.
And I remember when you used to go down to a game at San Diego State and there was no atmosphere at all, and it is tremendous now. The student section, the show, and the support from the local community is just been amazing.
Turnover here, Fredette takes it home. So Jimmer Fredette now with 23 points tonight. It's still that big lead, 16 points for San Diego State. Now the BYU fans are kind of like, all right, we came all this way to watch. We're going to dig deep one more time and rally you guys.
One more try here, and I think San Diego State's smart to slow it down a little bit here. The clock is their friend, and you get a good shot in the half court. Like you just get out of Kawahi Leonard there, and you're in good shape.
Kawahi Leonard, as a freshman in last year's championship game here, had 16 points and 21 rebounds. Not quite those numbers today. He hasn't had to. And there's Fredette. That, I don't know, 28, 30 feet?
Yeah, that was out there.
But that doesn't matter. Jimmer Fredette, there's absolutely no limit to his range.
That was out there. BYU now on a 10-2 run, and they've gotten this crowd back into it.
26 for Fredette. It's not surprising. We've seen Fredette shoot standstill 30-foot threes this year.
Yeah, no problem. He's got great strength.
Thomas turnaround lean in. James Anderson with the rebound. But Dave Rose is sticking with the biggest body he has on the roster in Anderson. Giving him a little presence inside. Fredette taking Leonard in. Nice. Amazing scoop by Fredette.
It's like this crowd has given this BYU team energy, Ted. They're digging down one more time to see if they can make a run. And what San Diego State has to be careful with right now, not to get too stagnant on offense. With too much time right now, you want to take time, but you want to be aggressive like you have been.
7 straight points by Jimmer Fredette. And now BYU has another loose ball, and again looking to run. Fredette has Gay on him. Will he take him? He's going to. And a kick out to his wingman. 10 straight for BYU. Well, maybe there's a game coming after all. And what was a very comfortable game has now been narrowed to 10, and Steve Fisher's going to take a timeout. Fredette scored the first 7 points in this run out of the last timeout. That got BYU going.
And just like that, BYU, you see, on this first was going to use a ball screen and say, you know what? I'm close enough. I'm in the same side of the half-court line. Then he goes in for a drive, slices, and lays it off the glass. And then a beautiful take here where he draws the defense, kicks it to Emery, who knocks down the three. A little life here at BYU still.
San Diego State's biggest lead is 23. It's now 10. 4:49 to play in the game. And you can't go anywhere here without seeing Jimmer Fredette signs, and there he is suddenly. And you think he's had a fairly quiet day, and then you look up as we revisit our Pizza Hut favorite matchup, and Fredette is 28 points.
Yeah, it's been quiet because he kind of goes in spurts, and he can score 10 points in a matter of just a few minutes because he's got such great range and so explosive. And this place was just quiet.
I love
like
that
3 minutes ago.
How many of those calls do you think Jimmer gets? I'm an investment advisor.
Exactly.
I love that one. He has 28 of his team's 52. That pales in comparison to last night, winning at 52 of their 87.
I just watched Jimmer Fredette and Chase Tapley right in front of us, and before they took the ball to bounce, they both walk over, they shake their heads like, yes, yes, and then they slap 5 like, okay, this is on, this is what it's all about, this is fun.
Well, a game like this, a matchup like this, deserves a better finish than a blowout. That may be what we're in store for. Slapped away, Collinsworth with the play. Picked Billy White's pocket. How much energy can BYU have? Fredette guarded by Chase Tapley. Gonna take him. Dish Anderson. Was Fredette too unselfish there?
Yeah, I think Fredette should have just taken the shot there, and I didn't know who was trailing him, if that was Abuo or Jackson Emery, but with Anderson, that's not a shot that Anderson's real comfortable with at that distance from the basket.
San Diego State willing to burn clock against the BYU zone. Good ball movement, sets up Tapley on the wing. Airmailed the shot, but look at that. That's San Diego State. Billy White started it, Leonard finished.
Kawahi Leonard has had so many plays just like that one in this game.
Fredette got himself free. And Leonard's putback, though, may have been the big one there.
Yeah, that was huge, and that stops a major run. Effort plays for Kawahi Leonard in this game have been big.
There's the passing again. The interior passing set it all up. So San Diego State here, after that one run, has gathered themselves. They played 2 great possessions inside.
When Kawahi Leonard, Billy White getting after it, getting it done on the boards. This is a missed shot by Chase Tapley. Look at how active Billy White is. He misses, but no, Kawahi Leonard there to pick it up. And then Billy White here, I'll go get my own and tap it back in. San Diego State back out in front by a big margin.
There's no force like the one that comes from joining forces. No strength like strength in numbers. The kind of numbers delivered by Ram 1500, the 390 horsepower Hemi V8, 20 MPG, a 5-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Strength in numbers, now during Ram Truck Month.
Well-qualified lessees can get a 2011 Ram 1500 for $299 a month with a no extra charge Hemi V8.
When we talk about being an Aztec, we're not talking about how you were back in the day, or who you thought you might become, or a face you put on for game day. Once you're an Aztec, you're an Aztec every day of your life. San Diego State University, Aztec for life.
To be a part of the Mountain West Conference on and off the field, you have to earn it. With dedication to your team, passion for the game, and respect for each other. You don't have to be a player to be a part of a team. Support the spirit of competition. Sportsmanship, another reason why the Mountain West is above the rest.
There are over 400,000 NCAA student athletes. And just about all of us will be going pro in something other than sports.
I don't want to get up. I don't want to go to work. I hate mornings. Great, I have 20 minutes. No time for coffee. Hello, my friend.
Can't get it together in the morning? Try 5-Hour Energy. It's simple, effective, and unlike coffee, it's ready right now. No waiting, no hassle.
Let's do this.
5-Hour Energy, the no wait, no hassle way to a great morning.
San Diego State just under 3 minutes away from a repeat Conoco Mountain West Conference basketball championship. And after this incredible day of college basketball, we've got the future pros for you later tonight on Versus. Austin and Texas battle in the NBA D-League. 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific tonight on Versus.
Well, I look, Ted, in this game, we talked about the energy and the effort that Steve Fisher has been able to get his guys to come to this game with. And the effort points, you know, points off of turnovers and offensive boards, put back second chance. San Diego State with 35, 20 second chance points and 15 points off of turnovers. BYU with just 11 combined in those two categories.
Well, and Billy White has had his first double-double of the season and what a time to do it. 21 points and 11 rebounds. More Billy White than Kawahi Leonard in this game. What really the part for San Diego State, they finally, Blaine, have been able to affect the game against BYU with their defense.
Yeah, their points off of turnovers have been tremendous, and their rate of converting those turnovers has been outstanding.
It's at least their 8th steal, San Diego State, and they've had good balance. Kawahi Leonard's had a good game. He just hasn't had the monster game he had here last year. Hasn't had to. Billy White's been a monster.
And he's been outstanding. I just love the effort out of this Aztec team in this game.
Leonard got the rim, but that's all. Jimmer Fredette with the ball. 28 points today for Jimmer Fredette after 52 last night. No, didn't get the layup. Looked like he'd get 30.
He was expecting contact there and didn't get any. San Diego State let him go.
And now the San Diego State fans. Again, they're a much smaller number, but boy, are they loud. And they're getting ready to celebrate a second straight championship on this floor. Last year, San Diego State beat UNLV on this floor. And today they're going to take down their nemesis, the only team that's beaten them this year.
And last year, the tourney MVP was Kawahi Leonard. And Billy White joined him on that first team all-tournament team. I wouldn't be surprised to see those two guys on it again this year.
Chase Tapley's played a tremendous game. Chase Tapley had a broken left hand last year, could really not play much in the championship game. He's made up for that effort this year. 13 points and been a big presence. And San Diego State will win its 32nd game. And they'll wait to get their call tomorrow to find out where they're heading. Will they get Tucson or Denver, the West sites? It would seem both of these clubs would seem to have earned The right to not have to travel far.
Oh, absolutely. The regular season resumes for these two teams say it all. Hopefully they will both be in the West with very high seeds.
Well, that's just a little insult there. Leonard banks in a three.
Yeah, that was, if you see him slap five and have a stern look on his face.
Another great result today, and I'm going to be fascinated to see how it plays out tomorrow. The Ivy League playoff today. Princeton beat Harvard on a buzzer beater. Harvard, as you see the San Diego State celebration starting, but Harvard beat Colorado this year, which is supposed to be a bubble team, beat Boston College. I'll be curious to see. The Ivy League's never had an at-large berth, ever.
And this would be the year that they would be deserving of it.
Fredette, so Jimmer Fredette will end up with 30. But after 2 regular season wins, now Jimmer Fredette talking with Kawahi Leonard here at midcourt as the game comes to an end. A little smack talk exchange. Jimmer Fredette doesn't look happy. They're thrilled in San Diego State. The frustration of 2 regular season losses to BYU, at least partly erased by their 2nd straight Mountain West Conference Tournament championship. And Jimmer Fredette, 30 points today after the remarkable 52 last night. He's far from done. Go back to Provo tonight and get ready to go play Thursday.
And for San Diego State, they make a great statement here. They put a great cap on a tremendous regular season, and this should send a message out to the committee.
And the point about San Diego State that I still don't think it's enough recognition is how many times they won a game on another team's home floor this year. At Gonzaga, at Long Beach State, which is a conference champion, at California, which was the Pac-10 champion last year. They won on other teams' floors. They won at the Pit, New Mexico this year, all year long. The only team, the only blemish, BYU, and San Diego State at least gets some of that out of their mouths right here with this celebration. A decisive win to win the Mountain West Conference Championship. And if there's any solace in this game, it's that both teams walk up the floor knowing that this was one game. Their seasons will go on. Steve Fisher, his 2nd straight conference title. He's with Lindsay Soto.
Coach, you finally found a way to beat the only team to beat you this season. What was the biggest difference today?
Well, we played hard 3 straight games. I think our defense allowed us to create offense, and they didn't shoot it the way they shot it for 2 games.
You talked to this team before the game today about taking dreams and turning them into reality. How big can this team afford to dream at this point?
Well, we're dreaming right now about cutting down the net for a Mountain West Conference championship. That's pretty special for us.
Thanks a lot, Coach. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Ted?
All right, Lindsay, well, Steve Fisher knew his stuff. BYU shot just 32% in this game. Shockingly low number for a great shooting team.
I think that their defense was tremendous in this game. That was the difference.
So San Diego State celebrates a 2nd straight Mountain West Championship. We'll come back to wrap things up in Las Vegas on Versus.
He delivers the stats that matter, going past the highlights, deep into the trends and box scores. And he's usually right.
Yeah!
No one's quite sure how he does it, but when it comes to sports stats, he's ahead of his time.
Great Scott! That flux capacitor almost left me in 1985. Gotta get that fixed.
Scott Sarah on It's a Numbers Game. Wednesday at 7:30 on the Mountain.
That's a gimme. All right.
Time!
Fastball.
Thanks. Play ball.
1 shot.
You got this. Thanks.
Just so you know, we love the blitz on 3rd down.
Hey, thanks, Steve.
You don't have to go overboard, but please, respect the game, respect each other. Sportsmanship, another reason why the Mountain West is above the rest.
Big dreams and good grades aren't enough to get into college. There are actual steps you need to take. Finding someone who can help is the first and most important. For the next steps, go to knowhowtogo.org.
The 2011 Conoco Mountain West Conference Basketball Championships on Versus is brought to you by Conoco, who reminds you to always use Conoco gasoline because your car knows. And by Snickers. If you like peanut butter and chocolate, you'll love peanut butter and Snickers. New Snickers Peanut Butter Squared.
San Diego State celebrating their second straight Mountain West Conference Championship. Back to the court in Lindsay Soto.
Billy White just played his last game in his hometown of Vegas, probably ever. And it's hard to imagine a way that could have gone better for you. What was tonight like for you?
Oh, man, I just want to thank my teammates for believing me. You know, I was on fire today, and I just want to thank my teammates for giving me the ball. You know, I wouldn't have did it without them. You know, I just want to play with a passion. And I knew if I could break down a couple shots, I knew my team can win. And, you know, we just played defense all year. And we knew, once we got them on their heels, we knew we had them.
How badly did you guys want to get BYU tonight as an opponent and beat them for the first time?
We wanted them bad. You know, they beat us twice. They beat us at home, and they beat us at their place. You know, and they beat us in the last 2 years 4 times in a row. And, you know, this just means a lot to me and my teammates, and we wanted it real bad, and we got it.
You don't have to play Jimmer anymore unless it's in the tournament or the pros. Has playing him made you guys better as a team?
Oh, yeah. You know, that's an incredible player. Like I said, he's impossible, unstopped, you know. He's a great player. He knows how to shoot. And, you know, we just contained him tonight, and that's how we got the win.
Congratulations. Good luck in the tourney.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Ted?
All right, Lindsay, that is so sweet for Billy White to do it in his hometown 2 years in a row. San Diego State, and I think every San Diego State fan is on the court right now. They've all made it down there.
Well, Billy White was so good. He brought the energy that I think was infectious for the rest of his teammates in this game. Getting it done on the defensive end, finishing in transition. He was 7 of 12 from the field. He had a double-double, 12 rebounds. But I think the most important thing for Billy White tonight was the 5 steals. That got it all going. Absolutely. That suffocating defense, holding BYU to 32.2% shooting. Billy White was fabulous this afternoon.
Well, here's the numbers. From a team standpoint, BYU came into the game averaging 82 points a game this year. They scored just 54 today.
Yeah, Jimmer Fredette has 52 himself last night, but they didn't see this kind of defense, and the credit goes to San Diego State. They used that great length, the quick hands, and they did a terrific job of defending BYU tonight.
And of course, Jimmer Fredette, such a focus. Only a player that has put the bar where Jimmer Fredette is could have a 32-point game and have everybody go, or 30-point game rather, and people go, whoa, that all?
Yeah, that was
Is that all?
Yeah, anticlimactic, but you know, I think this game too was about depth, Ted, on 3 nights in a row.
And Blaine, I think the bigger picture here is that this is a celebration of the best years. There's Craig Thompson, the commissioner, the best year for the Mountain West Conference, and both of these teams are top 10 national teams, and they proved it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No question this is the best year in history. They've never staged a top 10 matchup in this game before, and what a credit to Steve Fisher, the terrific job he's done in building that program, and then Dave Rose for BYU, who's done an unbelievable job. People forget that program had a terrible losing season the year before he took over.
Absolutely. The only sadness, of course, being that BYU leaves. This was their last Mountain West game. San Diego State will be back, and the Mountain West hopes to be back as strong as ever. Next year, their new member will be Boise State. But there are the San Diego State's Aztecs celebrating a second straight Mountain West Conference Championship. Both teams and these great players heading on to the NCAA. For Blaine Fowler, Lindsay Soto, and our entire Versus crew, Ted Robinson, thanks for joining us.